Very nice. We should just get another coffee going and just get fucking caffeine ready today.
Yeah, that's it. What problems do you want to solve?
Well, in terms of the food system, I think that we need to get higher quality food in the hands of more people. I think that, like, people always talk about, oh, in order to eat healthy, you should choose organic. You should avoid things that are sprayed with glyphosate. You should check your ingredients. You should not consume seed oils. You should be more conscious of things that you can't pronounce in your ingredients list. And I'm like, yeah, that's great, but that food is 6 times the price. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Fine, yourself?
Very good.
Nice.
That food is 6 times the price. So it's like, yeah, in principle, that's great. Choose that. But there's a bigger problem at hand. And the bigger problem is that the food that's good, the food that's good, the food that has and uses real ingredients, and the food that is going to boost your vitality and your energy instead of suck it and drain it, that food needs to be more accessible. And in order for that to happen, small scale farmers need to be more incentivized to do their job, because right now they're not at all. There's not even minimum wage requirements for agriculture workers.
Really?
No. Like in Quebec here, there's no minimum wage. So the farmer is an incentive, or like this farmer pays their employees minimum wage because it's like a social, issue if they don't. But there's no, so it's like, why would people get into agriculture?
Yeah.
You're doing way harder work than what you would do working
retail,
whatever.
Sure.
And you're getting paid less.
Yeah.
So it's like, and the only benefit is like, then you get access to great quality food, but then it's like, you need to, like your finances need to be in order. You need to have, you need to have money to some degree in order to live in our society. Shit costs a lot of money. You know what I mean? So it's like that like those core problems at the root are where I would like to focus my attention, because everybody's looking at, there's so many accounts of like I said, choose organic, avoid seed oils, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, that's not the problem. That's not the issue. The education is definitely something that needs to be pushed out there, but there's other things like within that policies need to be created for. Small scale farmers need to be incentivized to do their job.
Right.
There needs to be communal efforts to get people to be growing their own food on their front lawns. Permaculture needs to be implemented into the society. And it needs to be like, you need to be incentivized to do it. And there's, especially like now with, all this talk about the green movement and all this crap, and it's just like, all they're doing is just taking this money and spending it on technology. That's like, that's not the problem. You take care of it's like your health. What's the number one thing that you can do for your health? Focus on your gut. Focus on the microbiome in your gut. If you improve your gut health, everything else improves. There's a straight connection to your brain. It's attached to your immune system. It's attached, the foods you're gonna eat are gonna produce less inflammation. It is the number one thing that you can do. And if we just move that up one notch, the soil is the earth's gut. And we need to improve it. And people will say, oh, well, you can't feed the amount of people we have on the planet with organic farming. That's complete bullshit. And you can look at, there's a book called Farmers of 40 Centuries. And it looks at how Korea, Japan, and China fed the entire population on I think it was like 1/8 of the land. Don't quote me on that, but it is on a complete fraction of the land. It's complete crap. Like yes, you can. And the thing about organic farming is that when you do it right for a certain a extended amount of time, and you're rotating the crops every year, you're bringing livestock in and moving them around.
Yeah, it's like biodynamic stuff.
Well,
biodynamic farming?
Biodynamic is a little bit more, I'd say, intense. It's more like they would call it like regenerative agriculture.
Okay, cool.
And that's where you're like rotating your crop yields every year. That's where you're bringing in livestock to to eat, eat the grass, poop, help the microorganisms expand more. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Biodynamic is awesome, but it's just like that's not where we need to focus. That's too much. Yeah, that's not where we need to focus the attention right now. And if you do that, if you farm correctly and we incentivize people to grow food in that way rather than like hundreds of thousands of hectares of land devoted to one crop for as long as that farm exists, all that, it just strips the soil of its nutrients. It's not even soil. It's not live humus. It's dirt.
Yeah.
And it's like we are destroying the Earth's microbiome. We're destroying the Earth's gut health. And we're gonna try and come up with all these fancy, innovative technologies, and you're gonna be like only allowed to fly certain places. We need to use electric cars. It's like, it's crap. It's not. That is not going to work. Promise you.
Kill all the cows.
Yeah, and then oh my god, and then the cows are the issue. That's ridiculous too. If you want to see a cool video on that, go look up Allan Savory. Allan Savory desertification on YouTube. That video will blow your mind. Yeah. He says you need to increase the amount of livestock on the planet, not decrease it.
Yeah.
Because
it's got its own life cycle.
It's got its own life cycle, and if you look at what cattle do, if you use them properly and not just like factory farm the shit out of them, what do? They come, they eat the land, they poop, and then you move them.
They fertilize it, yeah.
And
don't they have like special guts where they can pretty much eat anything?
I think they've got like, what is it, like nine stomachs or something like that?
Yeah.
But Allan Savory's got this video on YouTube where he goes and he lives in South Africa, and he shows basically a lot of places in Africa won't get rain for a long period of time, but they'll get poured on a couple times a year.
Yeah.
And if it's dirt, what happens is it floods, and then it all just moves away.
Yeah.
Right. But if it's soil, it doesn't flood, it gets absorbed.
Yeah.
And then that is what's going to act to keep everything alive. But the way to what he calls, it's called desertification. The way, if you look at the globe right now, the deserts are expanding every year. They're getting bigger. And the reason is because it's not alive. So he brings livestock in. He brings shitloads of cattle and livestock onto a piece of land that's, let's call it dead. And they eat and they poop, and he moves them around. And he has so much documentation of real life examples where he's taken a completely dead area desert and now it's green. There you go. And he's like, we don't need less livestock, we need more, but we just need to use it in the right way.
We need to integrate with it.
We need to integrate with it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's so many big issues, but what's one thing everybody can start with? Growing your own food. Growing your own food. Like if there was like, again, another like government incentivization to turn every front lawn into a garden, and you're given a tax break, or dude, you'd see so many things flourish. You'd see people's health flourish. You'd see community interaction flourish. You would see the soil flourish. You would see more butterflies and bugs and bees. You'd see all this flourish, like 100% within a year. And then you just keep scaling that out. And it's like, that is the most powerful thing that you could possibly do. And then another thing is, go to your local farmers who are farming organic, who are rotating their crop, who are, even if they're not farming organic, who are interested in farming differently, and incentivize them. Or as a customer, just go buy food from them, because that, you're helping them. It's like, and dude, all we need is like one, all we need is like let's say 3 months of like the news just broadcasting this every day, and then everyone would realize it's true. Like, you know, we're pretty malleable with the content that we hear about and then what we believe in. So it's like, if we would just have that all filtered in and blasted at us, it's all the information's there. So that's what I think the biggest thing is we need to have a transition to that, and it's not going to come through some fancy technology. It's not going to come through everybody driving electric cars. It's not going to come through social credit score or being able to fly or drive a certain amount every year. It's not going to come through that. And it's definitely not going to come through like throwing chalk in the atmosphere or whatever other stupid ideas these like smart people are having. You know, it's going to come through small scale farming and improving the health of our soil.
Getting back into the dirt.
That's it. That's all it can. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeet.
There you go. Heard it here first.
Yeah.
So how are you gonna do that?
How am I gonna do?
How you
Well,
gonna do
that's
that?
why, dude. That's why I worked on a farm for a full season, because I was just feeling so, like, compelled to do something about it. And now, I think that there needs to be a huge education component. You know what? Fuck it. My social media will be that outlet.
There you go.
It will be that thing spazzing at you to like do this, you know, get involved with this, ask around, like, yeah.
You said it yourself. They're malleable. Blast them.
You're about to get blasted. Yeah, it's crazy. And then also too, another thing that it does is it puts you more in touch with the land that you're surrounded by. It puts you, and it's not like everybody in the world needs to become a farmer. That's never been true, and that's not what needs to happen now. But what does need to happen is we do need to recognize the importance of it.
Yeah, and have some kind of connection to the food that you're eating, right?
Yeah, and price. I remember I heard something one time, and it said, you know, it was a salesperson talking, and they said, if price is the only thing that people have to base their decision off of, then that's what they'll base their decision off of.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, like, if you go into the store and you see a crown of broccoli that's $1 and a crown that's $3, and you don't see the process of how that broccoli is created and how it was taken care of and how it was, you know, and how it was like put through the processing of like washing it or whatever. If I dropped you at a conventional beef farm and you watched what happens there, and then I took you to a beef farm that raises their cattle with a longer lifespan, which feeds them what they're designed to eat, you know, and appreciates the animal. Next time you go into that grocery store, now you have a different frame of mind. You have something else to base your decision off of, rather than, well, this ground beef is $3 per pound and this one's $8. But so that in itself is going to make a difference, and people could get a little bit more in touch with that, and therefore, like, people like me need to create scenarios where people can get involved with that. But then, you know, the other thing is, like, something needs to happen where the food supply isn't such a difference.
Yeah.
Because we don't control the prices, but the prices need to go down.
Because that's the thing, right? Like you said, like, you know, if I go into that grocery store and I see the $1 broccoli, I'm gonna be like, what's wrong with that broccoli, right?
Yeah, I'm
probably gonna go with the $4 broccoli.
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
But
broccoli
a lot of
be this cheap.
yeah, right. But there's a lot of people, and I'm fortunate enough to be in a position that I can do that, right? Or I've made that choice that I'm only gonna put that kind of stuff into my body. But there are some people that they don't have a choice. They've got to feed more kids, or, you know what I mean? Like, money is an issue, right? So what do people like that do in that scenario, right?
Well, I think that maybe the most annoying answer, but I think it's the obvious one, is you do the best you can.
Yeah.
Like, you do the best you can, and there are certain things you can do. Like, there's a list called the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. You know, like, if you're gonna buy organic, and that's a decision that you are comfortable making right now, then the stuff with a shell on it, you don't put so much of an emphasis on it. But things like, you know, berries, bioorganic, the lists are on the internet, and you can go look it up. It's Dirty Dozen and Clean 15, and it'll just tell you like which ones are, if you're gonna have to split it up, you can do this or this, you know. And then like you're not gonna be perfect. You're never gonna be perfect, but if it depends how much you value it. Because if it's just you're just doing it because some talking head like me is saying like, oh, this is what you need to do, it's never gonna work. But I have personally and like I've personally seen and experienced myself go through that period of like, holy shit, this food's so much more expensive, and then making that shift, and I still can afford it, and then my brain works sharper, I sleep better, my mood's better, I interact with people better, I can think about things more clearly, my stress management's better, and
probably
now
less
it's like
inflammation too.
Yeah, and it's just like an investment. And I know that sounds so lame, but it is. It's like if I told you that there was a pill that you could take every day, and in a year you were going to be sharper, you were going to be less stressed, you were going to have less anxiety, less depression, you were going to sleep better, you were going to look better, you were going to be able to perform better from a cardiovascular standpoint, you're going to be stronger, would you take it? Like most people would friggin' take it, I think. And that's what your food is. That's what your food is. And you can save money and buy the cheapest food that you can possibly find. But there's a trade-off. Don't think that there's not. And like like look into the world right now, because the world is sick and the people on it are sick.
Yeah,
that's all we need to know.
Yeah.
That's all we need to know. It's not any more complicated than that. That's all we need to know. And there's a million and one things, for sure. You know, there's a bunch of things that have bettered our society and bettered our experience as human beings on this planet, but that have also, because of that trade-off, stripped us of some of our health, or some of our nature's health, or some of, you know, just the way the world would be if humans were never on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
But it doesn't have to be like that. Humans are not the problem. We are actually the solution, because we have really, really intelligent brains, and we know this information. And we can still have all the things that make this experience in the modern world incredible, but we have to understand that it's a trade-off, and we have to make it a priority to do the one thing that's going to make the biggest difference, and that 100% without a freaking doubt is improving our soil.
Why do you think people aren't making it a priority?
Because they're caught up in everything else. They're caught up in everything else. They're caught up like, we're caught up in what we're wearing. We're caught up in social media. We're caught up in what the Kardashians are doing.
Flashing lights.
We're caught up.
Yeah.
We're caught up. And you're a hamster running in a wheel. You're a hamster running in a wheel. You're going a mile a minute, but like,
yeah,
it's really simple. We live in a world where we're convinced we're living in a palace, but our palace has become our prison.
Yeah.
We've gotten so deep and so far gone into the chasing things outside of us to create happiness, thinking we need to be like other people when we know absolutely nothing about them. We've adopted these ideas of like, in order to be happy and successful, we need to be rich and famous. We've adopted ideas of like, you know, something like farming and agriculture is like it's a peasant skill or a peasant job, and that's why we're so focused on the wrong things. We're focused on the things that bring us temporary satisfaction rather than the things that are actually going to give us satisfaction for a long time.
I agree.
I think these are our wave guys.
Yeah, these boys
Gentlemen, where's the wave?
Dude, my arm
Yeah, I bet. I know.
is fucking crushed.